Welcome back to Finance Friday. It's another special edition of Money Girl where I answer your burning money questions. I love getting your questions, so please keep them coming. Today's topic comes from Kate, who says, "My husband and I have finally outgrown our starter home and feel like it's a good time to purchase a larger one. But I'm confused about the best way to buy a new home and sell our existing one at the same time. What options do we have to make the transition as smooth as possible and less stressful on our finances?" Thank you for your question, Kate. Yes, juggling the sale of an existing home while purchasing a new one is a common stressor for many homeowners. Both are big transactions with significant financial consequences and lifestyle consequences. While there isn't one right way to coordinate a simultaneous home purchase and sale, this podcast will review various options to manage it successfully. Welcome back, everyone. It's episode 954 of Money Girl. I really appreciate you downloading the show and spending some time with me. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, on-camera spokesperson, money speaker, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. You can learn more, ask your money questions, and sign up for the Money Stack when you visit lauradadams.com. Newsletter subscribers automatically receive my Money Success Toolkit with the exact templates I use to manage my money. So you can subscribe for free and get that gift, or if you would like to support the show, you can become a paid member of the Money Stack and get access to live educational events. All right, so let's talk about Kate's question. Should you sell or buy a new home first? How do you manage it when you're trying to do both? This podcast assumes that you want or need to sell your current home before buying a new one. And I think most people are in that situation. Now, of course, if you can afford to keep your current home, maybe turning it into a short-term or long-term rental, that could be a good investment if that's something of interest to you. Keeping an existing home is how many people, including me, got started as landlords, just kind of keeping the home that you lived in and making it a rental property while you purchase the new home. But certainly the property needs to be suitable for a rental. Don't keep an existing home, just because you can, if it's not going to be a great layout for a rental or be able to get you the rent that you need to cover your expenses, right? The property's got to have the potential for you to charge high enough rent to cover all of the ongoing expenses. Plus, your finances need to be in good shape with enough savings to cover unexpected costs like repairs and vacancies on that home that you decide to keep. And since carrying multiple mortgages and managing a tenant can be challenging, I can tell you that from experience, I always recommend budgeting for the cost of a property manager. If you decide to buy an investment property or just keep a home and turn it into an investment property, a manager's knowledge, experience, and their local network can help you find great tenants, charge market rent, maybe even more than you thought you could, and reduce your expenses. They likely know a lot of people in the area that can provide services and work for you. But let's assume you're like Kate and you're planning on selling your home, maybe to upsize, downsize, or even relocate to a new city or state. Many homeowners have equity that they plan on using for their next home purchase. So, should you sell your home first so you've got enough cash to put down on the next property? Or should you pounce on your dream home and buy it before someone else does and then worry about selling your current home later? Well, there are pros and cons for each home selling option, and we're going to review them. Coordinating two real estate transactions simultaneously takes careful planning and flexibility, but it's certainly something that many homeowners have done, and will continue to do. So I think it's just about sort of thinking through all the potential options that you have. So let's talk first about selling your home before buying a new one and how that works. While the United States housing market is slowly cooling off, there are many markets, particularly in the Northeast, where home prices are still rising and buyers are competitively bidding for listings. So if you're in a seller's market where demand for housing is high, but there isn't enough inventory, you may be able to sell your home quickly and for a relatively high price. The housing market is a patchwork of local conditions that can vary considerably. So I recommend working with an experienced real estate agent to understand the average days on the market for listings and whether homes are selling above or below their asking prices in your area. Knowing if you're in a fast or slow-moving housing market can help you know how to price your property and whether you'd benefit from selling your existing home before buying another one. A significant pro for selling first is that you'll know exactly how much cash you have for your next home purchase. In addition, you eliminate the risk of having two mortgages, which could be extremely stressful. Depending on your financial situation, your mortgage approval could be contingent on selling your existing home first. Now, the downside of selling a home before buying another one is that you may need to move into temporary housing while you find and buy your new home. Moving twice means higher moving costs and certainly more complex logistics. However, you may be able to push out the closing date so that you've got more time to find your next home. Or you may be able to stay in your home with a rent back agreement from your buyer, where you become their tenant for a predetermined period, such as 2 or 3 months, while you shop for your next home. If you plan to buy a home in a hot market, it could take more time and money than you expect to find your ideal property. So do plenty of research about where you want to move so you avoid making any disappointing compromises. In general, I do recommend selling your current home first because it's the most conservative and safe option. However, if you can easily buy a new home and carry two mortgages for an unknown amount of time, there are benefits, and we'll talk about that next. So, all right, option number 2 is buying a home before selling your current one. If your finances are in good shape, and you can qualify for a mortgage or other financing options before selling your home, it can be a great option in a buyer's market. Now, you'll know that you're in a buyer's market when there are more homes for sale than there are interested buyers. That means you can be more selective and even negotiate for a lower price when you're home shopping. In contrast to a seller's market where bidding wars and offers above asking price are the norm, a buyer's market is a calmer, slower environment. However, selling your home in a buyer's market could take longer or result in a lower purchase price than you expected. In other words, buying first means you could pay two mortgages for longer than you like. But when it makes financial sense, the upside of buying a new home before selling your old home is that you get the property of your dreams. You may find the perfect home at an affordable price and just feel like it's too good to pass up. Another benefit of buying first is being able to move out of your home before listing it. You can make any needed updates and allow home showings without buyers and agents interrupting your life. The primary con for buying a home before selling one is that you'll need enough for a down payment and closing costs, plus income to pay mortgages, maintenance, and potential repairs on two homes for an unknown length of time. Plus, you may feel rushed to sell your old home and maybe accept less than you should. If you have enough home equity, there are some financing options to help you buy a second home. For example, you might qualify for a bridge loan. This is a short-term loan that you would repay after selling your first home. It could be something that you have for 6 months or a year. Another option is getting a home equity line of credit, or HELOC, to fund your next home purchase. A HELOC may come with a lower interest rate and lower fees compared to a bridge loan. It's common for buyers to make an offer on a home that's contingent on selling their current home. Now, as you can imagine, a seller who's in a hurry to close or who has many interested buyers may not accept a contingency offer. However, if you offer a seller a good price for their property, they might be willing to let you have 30 days to try and sell your property, or even longer, just depending on what's going on in the market. But if your home doesn't sell within the allotted time, a seller can accept backup offers that come in from other buyers. But you might ask for a first right of refusal so that, at least you have the opportunity to buy that home before they move on to somebody else. Buying a home before selling an existing one is certainly a more convenient option than the alternative, but it certainly comes with higher financial risks. Making a purchase offer contingent on selling a home can weaken your buying position. However, it may be worthwhile if you find a great property. So the bottom line is that buying and selling a home at the same time can be challenging, but there are various financing options and professionals who can help you. I recommend leaning on the expertise of a good mortgage lender and a good real estate agent to find creative solutions. Here are some more tips for smooth real estate transactions. One is to know your home equity. That's the market value of your home less any outstanding mortgage balance, so that you can use that equity on your next home purchase. I would also recommend getting a mortgage pre-approval quickly. As soon as you begin thinking about this process, before you start house shopping or making any major plans, you want to speak with maybe one or two mortgage professionals so you know your budget. That's really essential for understanding your options. Interview several real estate agents to find someone who's helped clients similar to you. And, you want to find somebody who deeply understands the markets where you live and where you plan to live. Prepare your home for sale by making any needed repairs and improving its curb appeal to attract as many potential buyers as quickly as possible. If a home inspector finds minor problems, perhaps a little rotten wood or leaky faucets, those small things can hold up a sale or even cause a buyer to reduce their offer. So, get as many issues corrected in the home so that they don't come up and haunt you later on. And have contingency plans in case your home doesn't sell or you can't find a new home as quickly as you hoped. For instance, research short-term rentals, off-site storage solutions, or even opportunities to stay with family or friends until you can purchase your next place. Coordinating homes to sell and buy at the same time really comes down to luck. You can't control the economy, what properties are on the market, or the personalities of sellers and buyers. However, by being as prepared as possible, working with experienced professionals, and understanding the risks, you can set yourself up for smooth closings, perhaps even on the same day. Kate, thank you so much for your question. I wish you all the best as you sell your starter home and find the next great property that you can call home sweet home. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and we've got a great team I want to thank. Steve Rickyberg audio engineers the show. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcast. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist, and Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor.